There we go. In the form that it's in right now, it's a freemium model. So there are some neat things that you can do with students. And you have to pay to unlock more features. The free version itself lets you, I kind of think of this as a mashup kind of app or Web 2.0 tool. You can include videos, links, documents, images, text. You can embed quizzes, which is the formative part. You could use it as a formative assessment tool. The one caveat to the quizzes is the quiz feature within BlendSpace itself is quite limited. But one of the cool things is that you can create a Google form, use that as a way to collect data from your students, and the Google form can be embedded into BlendSpace too. So if you just came in, this presentation is tinyurl.com/REMC 2014. It's also linked from the REMC notes page, the running notes that we were collaborating on yesterday. And we're talking about BlendSpace. It used to be called EdCanvas, so if anybody had ever used that tool called EdCanvas, they changed their name. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because I've created some fictitious students for you, and you'll log in using fictitious student logins today. But just so you knew and you had this information later, there are really two things students have to do in order to join a class. They have to have an account. It can be either propagated by students or teachers, and then there's a 4-character code that the teacher would give to the students to join that class. So those are the things that kids need in order to get in. Now for our purposes today, you don't need to create any accounts. I've got some fictitious students, and you will log in using the word or the acronym REMC, and then we're going to number off, and you're going to use the number you have today. It's not going to be a REMC number. When someone saw this earlier, they thought it was, well, I'm in REMC. What if there's 2 people from REMC 20 or something? So it will be the number you have that we're going to number off, and then prior to that, REMC. The password will be Beach, and then the same number. So if Mike is REMC1, let's just say, if he's REMC1 today, and it'll be REMC1 for his login, password will be Beach1.
Greg, for those of us who are not paying attention,
yeah.
Type in the website, get the URL.
Yep. Yep. tinyurl.com/REMC 2014. But the tool itself is just blendspace.com. Yeah. So this is what we'll do to log in today. So Mike, would you be 1? And then let's count off.
1.
Aaron?
2. 3.
4. 5.
6. 7. 8.
10. Okay, so we have 10 users. So remember your number. Your login will be, say, REMC10 and then Beach10. Now, if a student were to create their own account, now you don't have to do this, but if they were, they would just go to blendspace.com register/register. They click I'm a student, and then there's a very simple form students fill out. They don't need to have an email address, which is really cool. Or they can log in with a Google account if you already have that set up. But if you don't, just first name, last name, username, password, and if you have a class code. So the sign up for students is really easy. So imagine you're in my class and we're studying World War II. We're in history together. And we're going to do kind of a teacher-facilitated lesson dealing with World War II propaganda posters. So that's our topic today. And so we're in our class. Let's go to blendspace.com. So go ahead and log into blendspace.com. There's a login button at the top. And you will just click log in as REMC1, Beach1, REMC2, Beach2, REMC3, Beach3. And when you get there, you should see a little dashboard that looks kind of like this. That work for everybody? You should see your student name, your username up at the top. So in this screenshot, I was logged in as REMC1. And down below here, here's our class, and here are the lessons that I've shared. The students can only see the lessons that the teacher shared out. So you could build a whole bunch of lessons, but just not share them. So today, it should say War Posters Rotation 2. Does it say that for you guys? Cool. So go ahead and click on that, and then you'll be into the learning environment. So here's what the learning environment looks like. Basically, you have what's called a canvas or this lesson here, and there's multiple blocks in the lesson depending on how the teacher has set up the lesson. So you could do this in a completely online kind of environment if we weren't seeing each other. Maybe block number 1 has a video of me and I'm introducing the lesson or whatever. You could have some text in here. Basically, you click on the little icon in order to isolate that block. And this could be done in a linear fashion. I think most people probably use it in a linear fashion where they're kind of stepping through these slides. So in this case, it almost kind of seems a bit like PowerPoint or Google presentation, except that they do have the functionality of adding in their own little quizzes. But as I mentioned, the quizzes are limited, and you can embed a Google form, which I prefer. So if I were doing this in a formative assessment, I might ask you guys some of these questions because I'm trying to figure out how much do you guys know about X, Y, and Z. So have you ever critically viewed war posters before our unit today? Go ahead and click yes or no. Go on to question number 2. What do you think about what's your reaction when you think about history? And number 3 gets to more of our content about what we're going to be studying today, which is how governments may or may not have used posters to stimulate in World War II. That should be thought, not through. So now you guys can't see the view results, but I'm logged in as a teacher. So as a teacher, I can click on that little button down there in the bottom left corner, and I can click view results. And it gives me some feedback about how my students are answering. So, some people, not too many people like history, take it or leave it. Someone thinks it's boring. Okay, that's kind of what I would expect. I could scroll down here a little bit, and I could see, our responses to question number 3. So, let's go back into the lesson. If you were in here as students, then just click forward, and this is just a graphic that's embedded. There's a Google images search where it searches Creative Commons or copy-friendly media. You can pop in, say, a poster that is very familiar. If anyone's seen any World War II posters, this is probably one of them that you've seen. So then I might use BlendSpace to ask a question about that poster. Maybe we have some discussion. This is just a sample question. These aren't great questions necessarily. But go ahead and if you want to answer, you can. If you don't feel like you have to. But I do want to move on because there's a couple other functions within BlendSpace. So let's say we had this video viewing activity, which is next in the lesson, and I wanted to kind of frame the video viewing activity. In this case, the kids are going to watch the video. I want them to look for posters that they find to be particularly meaningful, and I want them to pause the video when they find a poster that they really like. And I want them to think about, why is this poster have more impact, do you think, than the previous ones? And the neat thing about this is when you're viewing videos, the students could add in comments. On the right-hand side on the screen here, you can see the little speech bubble. They can add in comments. So I could get some feedback from students that way that could inform my instruction. So I might want them to pause the video, write down the time code, and tell me why they thought that particular poster had lots of impact. And at the end, there's a little quiz. So here's an example. I've got some embedded YouTube videos. Some people have created these little slideshows about World War II posters. This one happens to be just Soviet posters. And then if I were a student, I'd be watching the posters. I'd be thinking about what content's there. And if I found one that I thought had particular meaning, then I can click on the speech bubble on the right-hand side, and I can add a little comment. I've also got here's a little 3-minute video on some German posters. So after we went through our activity together, then you're able to embed Google Forms, which I like this a lot better than the built-in quiz functionality because the built-in functionality is so limited. But within a Google Form, obviously you can have multiple types of questions. So maybe I would like a written constructed response. Maybe I just want to grab some feedback from students. You can embed images within your Google form, ask some questions about, in this case, what feeling is the poster above most likely trying to incite, have them do some studying of the image, come up with what they believe might be the reason for this poster, and then they can submit down at the bottom. There's a little extra typo down there. Option 1 shouldn't be there. So, in a nutshell, BlendSpace is this kind of media... 1 minute. Thank you. It's kind of this media mashup. It could be used in different ways. We could be in a face-to-face environment. We could be on an online environment. I could embed videos of myself instructing and then have the kids go through some interactions with media. I could take some data that I collect. I can use the data to inform how much prior knowledge do you guys have about a topic. What did you learn from the lesson that we just went through? I could use that data to decide about my instruction for the next week or whatever. So, any questions real quick? I know you guys are going to do a rotation here. The back end for the teachers, I should have said, it's pretty straightforward. The one nice thing about this is that it's very simple. It's, you create a new lesson, you drag and drop different types of content. There's these buttons on the side. You go and search for content, or you link to things, or you embed. Time's up. Hope you enjoyed BlendSpace, and you're on to number 3, your next session.
Thank you.
Thank you. You bet.
We're looking for Mel Anthony in room 103.
I really should have. It was good to see you.